Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you my top 10 reads from the second quarter of 2024. That is April through June, and I'm lucky enough to have 10 books that stood out above the rest. I managed to put these into an order, but they could change. I mean, I could feel differently on a different day, especially when it gets to the top 5. So let's start with my number 10 favorite read, which was an indie book, The Dead Spot by Angela Sylvain. And this was a fantastic collection of short stories, all focused on female main characters dealing with some tough situations and some really fun and or scary stories in here. And it stood out as a really great collection because there was not a single story that I didn't like. I liked them all. Yay! Number 9 is a classic, Psycho by Robert Bloch. An absolute classic of horror and suspense, and I was surprised at how good the story was. I wasn't sure that it was gonna hold up to my expectations and some of the best books I've read, but it really did. It's a classic for a reason. There's great mystery. It is pretty brutal. It really captures that kind of grimy, away from society, rural situation that makes this killer possible flourish. Yeah, I really enjoyed Psycho a lot. Number 8 is one I just recently finished, Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle, which is a new horror novel set in Hollywood around the movie industry. It's a great mix of very relevant topics and the movie scene in Hollywood that, in a very, very fun, original way, that make this book amazing. Number 7 is Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman, another one I just recently finished, another brand new release, and this one follows an 8-year-old girl. It's told from her perspective, and there's something living in her closet, and it is trying to get in her heart. This is a family's worst nightmare, and my personal nightmare from as a kid, something in my closet. Number 6 was The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. Oh, the wonderful conclusion to the Indian Lake trilogy, and I was not disappointed. I thought this book was a lot of fun. Things kind of come a full circle, and each book is pretty different, but always found a way to captivate me. A lot of that probably has to do with the main character. I am definitely a Jade fan. Number 5 is How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive by Craig DeLuey. Another book set in Hollywood, and this one was a lot of fun too, about a cursed movie camera that films actual horror, actual disasters, and what havoc that can wreak when a director decides to use that power. Okay, down to the top 4. Number 4 is The Blood Mirror by Brent. This is the 4th book in the Lightbringer series, a fantasy series with characters that use colors within light, colors to create power. And it's a fantastic series. This was my least favorite in the entire series, and it's my number 4 favorite book. That tells you how much I really enjoyed that series. Can't tell you much more about it because it's the 4th book in a series, but I will go on to number 3, which is The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan, which is the 3rd book in the Empire of the Wolf trilogy. And this book changes a lot throughout the trilogy. The first book was like a kind of dark mystery set in a fantasy world, and then this last book is like full on grimdark, wild battles and creatures, horror themes. Oh my. Yes. The Trials of Empire was I loved every book, but I think The Trials of Empire is like the most right in my alley, like my very favorite one of the trilogy, and I need to get a really good copy of this trilogy. Ooh, it needs to be on my shelves. My second favorite book of the second quarter 2024 is another indie book, and that is A Child Alone with Strangers by Philip Fracassi. And I absolutely loved this horror book. It's about a child that goes through a lot of tragedy in his life and ends up getting kidnapped for ransom, and the house that they take him to has something underneath the house. So yeah, I mean, it's so tense. Kidnapping, there's paranormal elements because the boy has like the power to read minds. There's supernatural elements with ghosts, and there's a creature feature as well. And somehow all of those strings come together perfectly, and it doesn't feel like too much, which usually I think it would. This was a great book. I recommend it. Obviously, it's on my top 10. Read all of them. And my number 1 book is the 5th book in the Lightbringer series, The Burning White, the epic conclusion to a whole year's worth of reading, and that might be why it's my favorite right now for the year, because it's just been book after book after book this year. And usually I wait way too long in between each book, and it doesn't get that same kind of binginess, right? Yeah. Burning White, that was quite the experience. The whole last 400 pages was like amazing. There was reveals and action the whole last half of the book. It was amazing. If you've read any of these books, I'd love to hear what you thought of them. Are there any of these that are on your radar to check out? If they are, do it. And I will be back very soon with another book-related video. Thanks. Bye.